good, yo? It's your boy Ty back here with another video, and in this video today, we are going to be ranking some of the best cards in NBA 2K22 MyTEAM. We've got a ton of cards to go through, so do whatever you gotta do. Get your popcorn out, do what you guys got to do. But we've got a lot of cards to go over. Now, I'm gonna go through them hopefully relatively quickly. And honestly, guys, I don't know if I've ever done a tier list this big. So, again, we got a lot of guys to cover. But, there's a lot of solid guys in the game right now. And that's something I like. Like, you don't have to have the same exact team as somebody else to be that, or to compete at the top level. You can really compete with most of the guys that you guys will see here. Now, make sure you smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 90,000 subscribers. And let's hop into our first guy here in Allen Iverson. And look, man. When looking at the people in this list, he's not the worst, but I'm going to go D tier for now for Allen Iverson. Here's the deal, guys. He's 6 feet tall. If you got him, offensively he can be solid. But again, 6 feet tall, not going to compete on the defensive end of the court. I'm going to go D tier with Allen Iverson. Andre Iguodala, a card everybody hyped up when he first came out. But, first of all, how many people are really going to get Andre Iguodala? And then second off, is he even worth getting? And I don't think either of those things, are come true. I don't think he's worth getting. I don't think a lot of people have him. Is he going to be able to defend at one of the highest levels in the game? Absolutely. I'll never argue that. But to go along with that is he's not that next level good on offense. I think he's a pure lock. He can be just fine. But at 6'6", there are better cards in the game, such as Andre Kirilenko. Now, is he S tier? Is he A tier? We'll debate that at the end of this video. I'm going to throw him into S tier right now just because I think he is that next level good. Am I the biggest fan of his release? I don't know, biggest fan. I don't know if I'd say that, but I do like his release. It is super easy to time. Maybe not the quickest, but it is easy to time. Easy to green. I think, come, next month, he won't necessarily be that top player anymore. But right now, as far as pure locks in the game, he's up there with being one of the best. Anton Jameson, a very solid card in my team. That's all there is to say. So is Andre Iguodala, though. I don't think Anton is that next level good. He is really solid. But there are cards in the game that right now I prefer to him. We might have to do some shifting as we go through this list today. Obviously, we might move Anton up, might move somebody down. But right now, I do think Anton Jameson does deserve that A tier. Anthony Davis, I think is S tier. Now, this is coming from a guy who has used Anthony Davis maybe 1 or 2 times. I think he is that next level good. His ability to defend on the interior makes him an absolute cheeseball at the center position. A lot of people are going to hype up the Yalen card. I think AD has upper hand on him, which you guys will see later on in this video. I think as far as like a small ball center, he's probably the man with the plan right now in 2K. Am I hyping him up too much? Maybe, but I do think he is absolutely elite right now in my team. Antonio McDyess, this is our first card we're going to go over to 2K database to talk about. Now, the reason I'm going to go over to 2K database to talk about him is because I don't know much about him. What I do know is he does have jump shot 9, which is a super smooth release. But the problem is only a 73 ball. Not great shooting badges. Can't really handle the ball that well. Defensively, not great. I do think because of his release, he can hold it down. Gonna go C tier for Antonio McDyess. If you did get him, all I can really say is I'm sorry. I do not think Antonio McDyess is that next level good. And I think he's similar to the level of a Bailey Howell type card. Bailey Howell on the defensive end of the court, and honestly, rebounding wise, is really solid. The problem with Bailey Howell is he just doesn't do over the top stuff. Like, if you're asking 90% of the community who they're taking Anton Jameson or Bailey Howell, people are going to take Anton Jameson. Now, is that to say Bailey Howell can't compete at the top level? No. I'm not saying that because I do think Bailey Howell is good enough at either the small forward or power forward position to compete. I just have a hard time seeing him get it done against the likes of an Andre Kirilenko, for example. Baron Davis, a card I was initially maybe too low on. I still don't love the card in Baron Davis. I don't think he's that next step of point guard good. But I do think because of what he can do on the offensive end with the Dame release and of his ability to dunk the ball, we got to go C tier. I think if I do put him any lower than C tier, I'm not doing this Baron Davis card justice because there are a ton of things that he does really well in the court. Just his interior defense, his movement is not the best. Ben Gordon up next. In my oh my, if you got Ben Gordon, you got an extremely solid point guard for free. That's what I would say. You got an extremely solid point guard for free. Has jump shot 22 on quick, which is a super smooth, super easy to time, easy to get release. Movement really solid. It's really just going to come back down to that defensive end of the court where Ben Gordon is not that next level good. Billy Cunningham here. I mean, here's the deal, guys. He's solid enough in my team. I mean, he is. We're not ranking pink diamond cards, though. We're ranking the best cards in my team. I think he's really comparable to Bailey Howell. They're cards you can play at either the small forward or power forward position that won't kill you. And when I say that, I'm not sitting here and saying like Bailey Howell is not a top player. If you want to say he's a top 5 or 6 small forward in the game, you can say that. I mean, there's nothing on the court that he's going to do bad. I just have a hard time putting him even above an Anton Jameson. I think Anton gives you that little bit more. Maybe a surprise of the list, Bob Sura. I mean, if you watch my No Money Spent squad, you know I like Bob Sura. I wish his jump shot 38 was on quick. But outside of that, really solid interior defender. Combine that with decent movement on the offensive end. Look, he's not the best point guard in the game. I would never say that and never will say that. But what I will say is, if you do badge Bob Sura up, make him that little bit better on the offensive end of the court, he's up there as far as budget point guards are concerned. Now, if it's him or Ben Gordon, I have a choice. I don't know right now who I would take between those two cards. Brook Lopez, he's just slow, man. He's just slow. Gonna have trouble, and if you do like switching screens, Brook Lopez is gonna have trouble. As far as the paint defense, as far as guys that can guard Yao Ming, Brook Lopez is gonna compete. I feel like he's underrated in my team. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily talk that much about Brook, but he is a really solid guy at that center position that I think can compete at a decent enough level. Is he next level good? No, because his speed's not great, but he can compete decently. Carmelo Anthony up next. Now the question is Carmelo C tier or is he B tier? I'm going C tier for Carmelo Anthony. If you're wondering why, never mind. I gotta go B tier. I don't even love Melo anymore, but he has a ton of total badges, and if you do give him a defensive shoe, you can still use him to this day. He has that normal leaner, which is just so incredibly tough to defend against. I do not use Melo. I've had him out of my squad for a while. But the moment we get a Galaxy Opal Melo, it's just a little bit better on the defensive end of the court. People are going to run him at that small forward position, and I might be one of them. Kazi up next. Look, guys, I will sit up here in front of you guys and say, you know what? I was a little bit wrong about Kazi. And when I say a little bit, I mean it like in this way. Kazi can cook on offense, man, and I've been cooked by Kazi so much in my team. Now, will I ever run Kazi Wrestle even if I had him? No. I wouldn't. He doesn't fit my playstyle. He doesn't fit what I like to do offensively, heck, even or defensively. But if I come up against Kazi Wrestle, I'm worried. And because of that, I think he does, at minimum, belong in A tier. If you want to put him in S tier, be my guest. I do not have him there, though. Chris Bosh, I think he's a perfect center kind of guy to put at the B tier. So if we go by positions at B tier, I think here's what you're really looking at. Obviously, Ben Gordon. Then you got Iggy, Melo, Anton. Then I think the Chris Bosh of the world are a little bit better than Brook Lopez. If you want to go to A tier with Bosh, if you like him that much and are good with his release, you can probably do that and probably get away with it. I just don't. I haven't had as much success or I haven't gotten cooked by Chris Bosh really either yet in my team. Chris Paul is an interesting card. Now, I'm going to go to 2K database to tell you guys and explain why I like Chris Paul so much more than Allen Iverson, okay? Here's the deal. Chris Paul, Allen Iverson, badge-wise, basically the same. Height-wise, wingspan, basically the same. Chris Paul is a little wider, which does matter. Here's the big deal. Plus 31 interior. Plus 18 block. Plus 13 strength. That's the big difference between the two cards. Other than that, I mean, they're basically identical, right? They're going to both be good. Chris Paul is that little bit better on the defensive end of the court. I love Chris Paul 2 tiers above Allen Iverson. Not 1 tier, 2 tiers. I think Chris Paul is more on the level of Bob Sura, Ben Gordon than the likes of Baron Davis. If you guys disagree, that is okay. I'm okay if you guys do want to disagree with that. But what I would say is just do your research with Chris Paul. The dude You give him brick wall, you give him post lockdown, the dude's going to be able to compete on the defensive end of the court. It's that simple. Cliff Robinson up next. I was really high on Cliff Robinson for his specific time. That time's not now. If you like set shot 3, be my guest. I cannot shoot with this card. I mean, defensively, he's obviously really good. I can't put him above C tier. I just can't. For his time, I loved him. I just don't anymore. The set shot 3 gets to me. It gets to my head. He's living in my head rent free for that. But at C tier, you guys might hate it. You guys might want him at B tier, and that's okay. But if you want to argue Cliff Robinson's A tier or higher, you better be good with set shot 3. The reason I'm putting Cliff Robinson in C tier is because I want to put Dan Issel into B tier. Here's the deal, guys. Dan Issel is better than Cliff Robinson. You guys want to disagree? Okay, that's fine. Just compare the cards. Dan Issel is quite a bit better, especially badge-wise. I'm not in love with Dan Issel. And maybe that's one thing that maybe it'll grow on me. Maybe Dan Issel is an A tier. I think, the more I'm looking at him, the more he might belong in A tier because the card is complete. The only thing he really lacks is playmaking a little bit. I'm moving him into A tier, though. I do think at the power forward position, there's not that many better guys I'd rather have at power forward. And even if you compare Dan Issel straight up to a guy like Anton Jameson, I mean, it's pretty close. But I do think Dan Issel does have a little better defense. And now, you know what? I think I had it right. I do think they're both B tier. We'll see. He might get moved up. But right now, I'm going to leave Dan Issel at B tier. Dan Marley, I mean, he is the definition of mediocre in my team. Here's what I'll say. Dan Marley is basically an Andre Iguodala. Andre's going to be just a more all-around better card. But Dan Marley does have the fundamental dribble style. I can't separate them. If I have to move Iguodala up, I will. Because I want Iguodala when it comes down to Dan Marley and Andre Iguodala. Danny Granger, a card that is massively slept on in my team. If you have Danny Granger any lower than A tier, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here's the deal. People want to hype up and say that Kevin Durant is, the top card in the game, the best card in the game. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to argue against that. What I will argue with is Kevin Durant that much better than Danny Granger? My personal opinion is no. I do think KD's a little bit better, but I don't think he's that much better. You give this Danny Granger these badges and listen, you give him Chef, you give him Brick Wall, you give him Post Lockdown, you give him Ball Stripper, you give him Rim Protector, make him that much better on the defensive end of the court. He is the man with the plan. That's all there is to say. Danny Granger is so slept on in 2K. The card I might start using in my squad, Dave Cowens. Look, Dave Cowens is good, but the problem is Dave Cowens the level of a guy? Is Dave Cowens the level of a guy even like Dan Issel? And the answer to that is nowadays, no. Dave Cowens is still good. He's still got a smooth jump shot. He is still solid. Problem comes with he can't really handle the ball, so the fundamental dribble style goes out the wayside. And total badge is only at 27. Definitely hurts the card. David Robinson, easily A tier. Easily that step above a Chris Bosh type of card. A tier is elite, guys. I just want to throw that out there. Anybody I put at A tier, I feel like can compete in comp games. B or lower is like, B tier is like, maybe. C tier lower is guys I would not want in comp games. D-Rob, still, if you do want to, play him in Unlimited in a competitive game, you can have so much success with D-Rob. And some people might argue he's still the best center in today's game. My argument is D-Rob even better than DeAndre Ayton now? I'm kind of glad David Robinson came right before DeAndre Ayton, so I can do that comparison because DeAndre Ayton, I think, is just that little better on defense. David Robinson can have the better release. Two are very comparable when it comes down to it. I think right now I'd take DeAndre Ayton over David Robinson. I do love DeAndre Ayton just that little bit more, and I think he is absolutely elite in my team. A card who is not elite is DeMar DeRozan. He is just not elite. If you do use DeMar DeRozan, and like the card, that is fine. I'm going to ask you guys this, though. Who is better, DeMar DeRozan or Bailey Howell? Right? Who is better? Bailey Howell is going to give you that way better interior, which you guys all know that I am super passionate and high on. Yes, this does say +4 for DeRozan, and I get it. A lot of that comes with the free throw, mid-range, those types of things. I am taking Bailey Howell over DeMar DeRozan, and that is my opinion on it. I am going to move DeRozan up just because I do believe he does belong at this tier. Next up, we do see DeMarcus Cousins, and Talk about who I think is one of the most overrated centers in the game. It's DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. And he's y'all's favorite center in the game. Okay, like, I'm not trying to slander him, but I'm sorry. Like, DeMarcus Cousins, he's okay. I just can't go any higher than C tier with him. Dennis Rodman, I think, belongs in B tier. I don't think he is the next level good. If you want to use Dennis Rodman, I'm okay with that. But it does take a special kind of person to use him. I maybe was high on Dennis Rodman when the first card came, or when this card came out, and that's okay. Like, I'm going to be too high on some people sometimes. It's just the way it is, the way my tier list works. This Dennis Rodman card is pretty solid, especially on the defensive end of the court. Next up, Devin Booker. Now, this is probably one of the tougher guys to rank on the list. Right now, I mean, this is tough. I don't know if he's B tier or A tier. I think I'm going to lean A tier, and the main reason I'm leaning A tier is because of how good of his release is. That's really it. Defensively, his interior defense is low enough where I'd never run Devin Booker. And I'm just making that very clear to you guys. I will never run Devin Booker. Okay, I'm going to say it again. I will never run Devin Booker. But for a lot of you guys watching this video, if you do grind for Devin Booker, you're going to have a lot of success with it. I'm not going to compare him to Cazzie Russell. I think Cazzie Russell is the better card. But I do think Devin Booker is really good. And I think he's a step above a guy like Dan Marley. Might have to move Andre Iguodala up, and I'm going to right now. Just because I think this makes the list look a little bit better. Donovan Mitchell, look guys. Point guard position, I'm going to go B tier with him. I do not think he's that much better than Chris Paul. If you think Donovan Mitchell is a lot better than Chris Paul, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I just don't see it. I think Donovan Mitchell is fine. I think his player model makes him look at least 6'3". I'm just not a big fan of the jump shot on normal timing. Combine that with, I've just never really been good with Donovan Mitchell. Dwayne Wade's a guy that I don't love, but I respect. I'm going to put him in A tier because of how much I respect him. This Dwayne Wade is not it. But the moment we get an Opal Dwayne Wade, and maybe that his release on quick, that's going to be the best point guard in the game, probably. I'm just throwing that out there. Here's the deal, guys. The point guard position is going to get a lot stronger within the next month, and expect to see a lot of these point guards get new cards. One of those cards is going to be the Dwayne Wade, obviously. Maybe early March is when we see that, but he's going to be incredible. This card is solid enough. I can't really move that well with Dwayne Wade. I mean, Dark Matter Gary Payton's on this list. Obviously, an easy S tier player. I don't know if he's going to be the best point guard in the game in a month, but right now he is. Okay, right now Gary Payton is, I mean, heading whatever. Like, he's way above a guy like LaMelo Ball, a guy like Penny Hardaway, who are my other top two point guards. I don't know. Like, if you look at the content drops that we've gotten lately, you're looking for point guards. Well, we didn't really get one yesterday. That souped last Friday. I mean, we really got Chris Paul, Jeremy Lin. None of those are too good. The Friday before, that's when we got Ja Morant, LaMelo Ball. We'll see. I mean, eventually we're going to get better cards than Gary Payton. It's just not yet. Pink Diamond Giannis, I have a hard time not putting in S tier. I mean, I do. A lot of people have been slandering Pink Diamond Giannis like he might not, like a really badged up one might not be better than the Opal Giannis. I'm still taking Opal Giannis when it comes down to it. Just know that the Pink Diamond Giannis is him in my team. Okay? If you do want a budgeter Giannis, just get the Pink Diamond Giannis. Basically, you're getting the Opal Giannis. I am going to put the Opal Giannis in S tier because he is that next big good, right? He is that next level good. And again, he is such a versatile defender. Do not be surprised if that Giannis right there is my small forward come 250K time. I'm not going to say he's going to be, but don't be surprised if he is, okay? Because he really might be when the 250K tournament does roll around. Gus Williams, our first F tier player. I didn't think it would be possible to get a worse Galaxy Opal than Allen Iverson. I was wrong. Gus the Bus is awful in my team. Hakeem Olajuwon, is he A tier? I think so. I really do like Hakeem Olajuwon. Him, D-Rob, DeAndre Ayton, they do different things, but they're all that same level of good. They're not necessarily that next tier of good, but they all do belong in that A tier. I think pretty easily. Now, we might have to start shifting this tier list down because when I'm looking at here, I don't see that many bad players. So we're going to shift it down. So shift people down just a little bit. Allen Iverson drop into F tier. Baron Davis. You go down. Let's also drop, does Brook Lopez deserve to go down? I'm going to drop Antonio McDyess down because a lot of people probably won't be able to use the card. We'll just leave it at that for now. Ja Morant is really solid in my team. And is he solid enough to be A tier? I think so. I do think he's that little bit better than a Bob Sir, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul. I think he's on the level of a Dwayne Wade type player. I do like Ja Morant because he does everything at an extremely high level. And the one thing I do not like is the Paul George base on point guards. It just feels weird to me. Am I gassing how bad it probably is? I mean, probably, but it just feels weird on the card. I'm probably overselling it, but I do not like Paul George base. Still though, Ja Morant, in my opinion, belongs at A tier. And James Worthy up next. I'm gonna go C tier. Look, if Billy Cunningham's at C tier, Bailey Howell's at C tier, James Worthy's going at C tier. It's that simple. We might have to drop some point guards down just because right now we don't have any point guards at C tier. But look, man, I do not hate James Worthy at all. C tier is pretty elite. I just think that's where he belongs. Jaren Jackson Jr., look, on next gen, doesn't have the best release in the game. On current gen, the release feels a little bit better. With all that being said, I still can't put him any higher than A tier. I do think he's A tier. I don't think it's hard to argue he's not A tier. But just know if you are on next gen, that release is really slow. Gonna be an incredible defender still. Defend at a really high level. I just don't know if he is that next level good. And I do think it's the release that does hold him back a little bit. Jaylen Brown. I love Jaylen Brown with all my heart. I'm going to throw him into B tier because of that. I don't necessarily think Jaylen Brown is extremely good for our game today, but he's a card with a good release, going to be able to defend at a very high level, has a pretty good player model, and he's free. So I'm going to throw him right into that B tier and give Iggy the slight edge over a guy like Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum is on the verge of being S tier. I'm sorry. This card is one of the most slept on cards in my team. Okay. I'm just going to talk about it for a little bit here to get you guys to understand it a little bit. Okay. Hall of Fame ball stripper, a big badge, clamps, interceptor, menace, pickpocket. Defensively, incredible. Interior being an 87, incredible. 94 3 ball with arguably the best release in my team. Not probably the best, but up there for being the best. Giddy's got base dribble style, but I'm sorry, at the 3, Jason Tatum's S tier. I don't even have Jason Tatum yet. He's S tier. I don't want to hear anybody even slander my name on Jason Tatum. He is that good in my team on both jets. We might move him down. We'll see what we got going on, but he is literally elite. Jeremy Lin, another A tier point guard. Because Jeremy Lin's at A tier, I got to move some guys at least at B tier down. Guess if I have to move anybody down at B tier, I don't want to move CP3 down, but I got to just because he's a little bit small. And I guess Bob Sir has got to be moved down too. I love those cards. They just simply got to be moved down. We'll see if any point guards get moved down from A tier, but I do think they're all about the same level for where we're at in my team right now. Yalen up next. Look, I do think he is really solid. I just think he's that little bit worse than a guy like Anthony Davis. If he's a staple in your squad, I get it. He can be an absolute cheeseball, especially at the center position. I look, with normal release timing, unless you shoot a lot of drifters on next gen, I have a hard time seeing him be that next level good. Still at an A tier is very, very solid. Jimmy Buckets for today's game is C tier. Look, I know a lot of people want to compare Jimmy Butler to a guy like Michael Jordan. That comparison is invalid. Do not listen to anybody that does that. Jimmy Butler is very good in my team. Just a little bit outdated, I think, is the right term to say. Joe Johnson, a guy I'm going to put in B tier. His stamina affects him in a big way. If Joe Johnson had mid-90s stamina, he would be immaculate. 85 stamina, and it hurts him. It hurts him really badly. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. It is. Trust me when I tell you that. Still, if you like Joe Johnson, I get why. Joel, trust the process. Embiid, right now is going to be at S tier. We might move some things around, but I think what Joel Embiid gives me right now at this current moment is an S tier center. Now, I'm just going to go over some things that worry me a little bit with Joel Embiid, with Monty Williams, okay? Things that worry me a little bit with the card is I do not green as consistently with Joel as I should, but defensively, I mean, he's immaculate. Up there for being a top defensive big in the game. I love Joel Embiid. Right now, he is at that S tier. So, I mean, we're getting down there, guys. We've covered most of the list so far. We do have a ways to go. John Wall, B tier. Okay, I initially, no, you know what I'm going to do? Dwayne Wade right with John Wall at B tier. You guys can think both these point guards are the best in the game, and that's fine. But I'm taking Jeremy Lin and Ja Morant over them. I think Jeremy Lin and Ja Morant give you way more offensively than D-Wade and John Wall. D-Wade and John Wall might be better on defense, and if that's the case, that's fine. But for the majority of you guys watching this list, I do think this is where people belong. I know a lot of you guys love that Dwayne Wade card, and that's fine. I'm just not the biggest fan. Josh Smith. Does he belong at A tier or B tier? That's the question. I like Josh Smith, but is he better than Anton Jameson, Dennis Rodman, Dan Issel? I don't think so. B tier is where he belongs. A tier is elite. B tier is just a little bit worse for forwards. I mean, the guards at A tier and B tier are pretty, or especially at B tier, are, on the weaker side of things. But you look at Josh Smith, Anton Jameson, Dennis Rodman, Dan Issel, any of those guys can compete at that top level. Kawhi Leonard, it's tough for me to do this. For today's day and age, I'm taking Jason Tatum over Kawhi Leonard. It's the big change I made between yesterday and today. I do like Jason Tatum over Kawhi Leonard, and I don't even have Jason Tatum yet on my account. What he gives you, though, Kawhi Leonard is a great defender. The problem is, I mean, he came out basically a month and a half ago. We're due for a new Kawhi Leonard card, and when we do get an Opal Kawhi, obviously he's going to, reclaim that top spot at that small forward shooting guard position. Right now, though, I mean, I'm just a little bit higher on Jason Tatum as an all-around small forward in the game. K. Disney, obviously, S tier. I'm not going to sit here and argue you guys. You guys all love KD. I've not really used KD enough. I do think he's S tier, though. Interior, great. Perimeter, great. Speed, great. Strength might be a little bit low, but he's going to compete on the defensive end of the court. And at the small forward position, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better guy than Kevin Durant. KG for today's game, today's day and age, I think. Do you put him in A tier? And I think so. I mean, I don't necessarily love KG for today's game, but what I will say is I loved him for a long time. So if you still love KG and you still use him, I get it. I get why. The dude is chicken. The dude can compete on the defensive end. He might be better at power forward than center for today's game, though. That's one thing I will say. Chris Chicken Man Middleton, he's a B tier shooting guard. I love you, Chris Middleton. You are one of the most knockdown shooting guards in the game, but you're not quite as good as Devin Booker, Andre Iguodala. Probably in the Jaylen Brown, Dan Marley, Joe Johnson range. Belongs perfectly fitting right in there at B tier. Klay Thompson, this one might come as a shock to you guys. I'm putting it A tier. You guys are probably wondering, Ty, who are these S tier shooting guards if Klay's not even S tier? What I'll say is this. I've not noticed a big difference between Klay Thompson Galaxy Open, between Klay Thompson Diamond. Now maybe that's just me, maybe you guys have noticed a difference, but I didn't necessarily love the Diamond card in general anyways. Maybe it's just my movement with Klay is not great. Maybe it's something I personally need to work on. And if that's the case, let me know that down below in the comments. But right now I can't be any higher with Klay Thompson. You guys wanted to know where my S tier shooting guards were, and Kobe Bryant's one of them. I'm in love with Kobe Bryant. I've talked about it how before, I've sold Kobe Bryant, but he's just like that crazy ex that's literally crazy, but you just can't get past. Like Kobe Bryant, you think, okay, he's eventually going to be outdated. We're eventually going to get another Kobe. And maybe that's the replaceable for Kobe is when we get a new Kobe, right? Maybe that's just the replacement. But man, I'm in love with Kobe, and I might always will be, because my goodness, is he elite on my team. Now, obviously, we might have to move somebody down here because position-wise, it doesn't look like it's going to fit. Kristaps Porzingis. I got to throw into S tier. And I mean, I only want 10 players at S tier, and right now we've got 9. So obviously, eventually, some people are going to have to move at some point, but he is so elite. Can defend at a high rate, is 7'3", can shoot the ball. I really do like Kristaps Porzingis. It's just tough now because we got Embiid, we got AD. Who stays, who goes? Kyrie Irving, I'm going to throw right into that C tier category. He's definitely a fun point guard to use. That's how I would describe Kyrie Irving. A fun point guard to use. He can compete too. He's not horrible on defense, but look, I've had fun using him in clutch time, stuff like that. I would never use him in a competitive setting, anything like that, but definitely a fun card to use. Lamar Odom, I might be gassing this card. I think he is an A tier small forward, power forward. Not my favorite small forward, power forward in the game, as you guys can see. He is at A tier. Can we just take a moment to realize how elite A tier is? I mean, people can make the case Klay's the best shooting guard. People can make the case Kawhi's the best small forward. People can make the case Lamar Odom's up there for being the best guy to run at power forward. Same thing with Jalen. A tier is elite, and I think Lamar Odom belongs in that company. LaMelo Ball going all the way up here to S tier. Right now, who I do think is the best point guard in the game. The slasher, or the dribble style, I think it is slasher, maybe base, does hurt the card a lot. But I still think what LaMelo Ball can give you, especially on the defensive end of the court, just makes him that little bit better than the likes of a guy like Penny Hardaway, who is still on this list. Larry Hughes up next. I think Larry Hughes belongs at B tier. And when I say that, I'm not trying to slander Larry Hughes in any way, because B tier point guards and A tier point guards, you really can combine them all in one. I mean, it's so tough. The debate between Larry Hughes, Ben Gordon, I think is a tough one. Heck, people love Larry Hughes. I think he's the best point guard in the game. I'm just really not the biggest fan of Larry Hughes' release. If he had a better release, I probably would be higher on the card. King James, here's where things really get interesting. Here's where, when I say interesting, here's where things get interesting. People have started to say that LeBron James is outdated. What I want to do to those people, oh my gosh, like, are you guys crazy? LeBron James is still absolutely elite. I'm just going to compare him to KD. Obviously, they are different players, but badge-wise, basically the same. Stat-wise, here's what you're doing. You're getting a little worse offense, better defense. That's what you're getting with LeBron James. Interior, not quite as good. Player model, way better. It really depends on what you want. I'm putting LeBron James into S tier right now. We'll eventually have to clean it out, move some guys around, but right now, LeBron James is S tier. Next up, Luka Doncic. I'm not moving Luka up. I do not care. If you have success with Luka, awesome, great. An Evo Luka to me is D tier. I do not care. RCA the Great can make how many videos on Luka Doncic frying it, or people frying, him cooking with Luka Doncic. That's cool. I have yet to be cooked by Luka. Anytime I see Luka on the court, it's a Timmy that doesn't know how to play the game. Luka Doncic, D tier. Magic Johnson, for today's game and today's era, I'm throwing into A tier. You guys can call me biased, but still, the fact that he's 6'9", it's tough. It's tough to play against a guy like Magic Johnson. Don't be surprised if Magic Johnson rejoins my team again very soon. I mean, he is that good and I think can compete at the highest level. I like Magic Johnson quite a bit in my team. Marc Gasol, I mean, he one of the worst centers on this list. People once compared Marc Gasol to David Robinson. That was a sad discussion I had to have on Twitter. David Robinson definitely way better than Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is not horrible though. He's not horrible. Maurice Lucas, right into B tier. B tier is really good for the power forward position. Maurice Lucas is right up there. Problem is, I mean, he's not a great shooter, right? Lacks some badges. I think he only has 45 base badges, which compared to a guy, let's say like Jalen, might not be quite as good. Still, Maurice Lucas, I had fun using him. I didn't get him on Ascension, so maybe that's why I'm biased. But I had fun using him on some other accounts. Michael Jordan, where's Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler, C tier. Shooting guard position, Michael Jordan belongs in A tier. Here's your argument, okay? Here's your argument. Okay, here's my argument. Not even your argument. Here's my argument. Tell me what Andre Iguodala does better than Michael Jordan. Defensively, the block rating is really it. Otherwise, they're basically the same. Shooting-wise, basically the same. I mean, finishing-wise, they're basically the same. They're basically the same. Michael Jordan has more total badges, has free throw line dunks. I'm saying he's at least A tier. You guys do not have to agree with that, and that is okay. I do not mind Michael Jordan. I think he has a really smooth release in my team as well. Yao Ming on current gen, I do not like it all. On next gen, I love him. I would go S tier if you're on next gen, but because of the current gen situation, I just can't. I cannot play with Yao on current gen. It's hard for me to say he's a more complete center than AD, Joel Embiid, and Kristaps. I love Yao Ming though, and when I say that on next gen, you could argue he's the absolute best. He's the most annoying dude to face on next gen. Gets literally every rebound. On current gen, I'm just not a big fan of him. Maybe I will become one, and maybe he'll get updated, but just goes to show how many good centers we have in my team. I mean, Yao Ming is up there. If I could have more than 10 people at S tier, I would. I think he belongs in S tier more than A tier. But I just think Kristaps, AD, those types of guys are better. Pascal Siakam, I do think is a little bit better than some of the guys we have at B tier. put him at the A tier level power forwards. I've been lately getting cooked by Pascal Siakam. I respect it. And because, I mean, I got to move Ja Morant and Jeremy Lin down. They belong at the B tier level point guards. I can't have them above D-Wade and John Wall. I know we got a lot of point guards at B tier, but it's fine. I'm okay with it. Back to Pascal Siakam. Hall of Fame interceptor, defensively incredible, release-wise very, very solid. Paul George, for this day and age, I've got to put into B tier. I mean, he's pretty comparable to Carmelo Anthony. I'm taking Paul George over Billy Cunningham, over Bailey Howell. He has 60 total base badges. Is he a little bit outdated? You can maybe say that. But the Paul George is a card we are going to get within the next month. And he will probably be a staple in my 250K team. Paul Pierce is D tier. You cannot tell me that Paul Pierce is better than any small forward, power forward I have at C tier. And you guys can cry. I don't care. If you grinded for Paul Pierce, which I'm low-key on the grind for, I'm sorry, he is not worth grinding for. Penny Hardaway, I'm going into A tier. Penny Hardaway, Magic Johnson, I do think is that same level. LaMelo Ball might be in more that level than S tier, but I do have to have 2 point guards. Look, LaMelo Ball would be here the moment we get a better point guard. So, the moment we get like a Lonzo Ball type of point guard, LaMelo Ball is just going to drop into that A tier. Reggie Lewis up next, and where does Reggie belong? He belongs in A tier. I like Reggie Lewis, I just don't love him. The way I feel about Klay Thompson is kind of the way I feel about Reggie Lewis. Like, I like him, I could use him, I just don't love him. I don't like him as much as Kobe Bryant, and that's really the big kind of issue. Rudy, wherever A tier is. If you think Rudy is any lower than A tier, you're wrong. That's all I'm going to say. You're just wrong. Rudy is still elite in my team. If he's your favorite small forward in the game, I'm not going to be the one to argue with you. I do think Rudy has that type of upside. A guy I've personally loved playing with. Just think his time is up in my team, especially on next gen. Current gen, he's still up there with being one of the best. Serge Ibaka for today's game, I think is B tier. I do like him more than Boogie Cousins, Brook Lopez, and Marcus. So I just don't think he is quite as good as a guy like DeAndre Ayton. Quite as good as a guy like David Robinson. B tier is a perfect spot for him. Steph Curry, I'm going to throw right into C tier. Him, Kyrie Irving. I'm not going to say they're the same cards. Defensively, basically going to give you the same thing, though. Fun to use on the offensive end of the court. Terry Cummins, man. This card is terrible. And I'm not even trying to sit here and slander Terry Cummins. This card is terrible. Jump shot 36 is okay, but, I mean, he doesn't do enough on the defensive end of the court. 40 base badges. Right in there with Anthony McDyess. I am not a Terry Cummings fan. Terry Dishinger, though, is a guy I'm a massive fan of. The Dentist, probably my overall favorite shooting guard in the game. I think the most complete shooting guard in the game. And a card that if you've never used Terry Dishinger, man, you guys are missing out on an incredible player. Tim Duncan, I still think to this day is B tier at center. I mean, a card that can compete on the interior, can guard the perimeter, Hall of Fame interceptor, such a good defender. Just wish he had a little better release, a little better three ball. Tim Duncan, though, was really solid. Card that if we got a better Tim Duncan, might be in this S tier type of range, just because of his player build. Another F tier player, Tony Parker. Might as well get it out of the way. Another F tier player, Zion Williamson. Both of those cards are borderline unusable. Xavier McDaniel, a card who is not unusable, but a card who is B tier. I think Dan Issel is a little bit better than Xavier McDaniel, but I do think Xavier McDaniel does enough compared to the guys at C tier to still be that B tier caliber. Big Wang, last but not least, we're going A tier with Big Wang. Look, I get it, you guys might like Wang. I do not like his defense. Offensively, as far as a stretch big, might be one of the best stretch bigs in my team. So this is the list, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right now, we've got 12 players at S tier. So I've got to get rid of 2. And, I mean, the point guard and shooting guard positions got to stay. Here's the deal. The first guy that's got to go is Andre Kirilenko. And I like AK a lot, but he's not better than LeBron James. Second guy that's got to go, I hate to do this, Jason Tatum. It's got to be you, man. It's got to be you. And I like Jason Tatum. I just can't be any higher on the card. This is our list, man. We ranked over 70 cards in this list. Honestly shouldn't be that long of a video. We got through it decently quickly. I don't know your thoughts down below in the comments. Who is I too high on? Who is I too low on? Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.